Welcome to Golf Destination's YouTube page. I'm Meredith Gorman, joined by our executive producer, Steven Aicardi, who is fresh off a trip to the Irish countryside where he had the privilege of playing at the Carton House.
Yes, thank you, Meredith.
Yes, welcome.
Yeah,
welcome to your show.
Welcome. Yeah, that's kind of egomaniacal. It's not my show, by the way. Anyway, yeah, so we went to the Carton House, which is a Fairmont property. It's about 35 minutes west of Dublin. It's a lot different from when we stayed at Portmarnock. Portmarnock is on the Irish Sea, and this is a total different change of pace. And you feel, it has, and its high point, it has this, it's not a castle, but it's their logo, if you see the logo. And you could just see the whole countryside and churches and distant towns. It's really beautiful. And the weird thing is when you're golfing there, it's just people like lounging around and taking pictures and writing poetry, and it's kind of a weird. Sometimes it's a problem because they're like walking around the golf course and not being able to judge where my ball's going to go. It's a hazard for them.
Well, we know, yeah, exactly. Your ball. Will
You've seen the
end
action,
up...
Meredith. On the many trips we've taken with the show.
I didn't get invited on
not
this
on
one.
This one. Not the one. This could be. I hope it's not a running theme. But
well, listen, if anyone's watching this and you run any golf course, it could be anywhere in the world. Invite me.
Yep.
Don't invite him.
She's an influencer.
This guy just decides to bring his friends instead of
right.
his co-host.
Yeah, but it's a working holiday, as they would say. It's a working holiday.
He has such a hard job.
Yeah, thank you.
You just need a vacation.
I did.
After another vacation.
Another vacation.
Okay.
But the Carton House is, not to change subjects, but the Carton House is a Fairmont property. It's Fairmont excellence, as usual. If you stayed at Fairmont's, it's, the rooms are really nice. It's very long. It's not a two-story property. So the rooms, it's very long to go from one end to the end. But what they've done is they've incorporated an old, I'm not going to say mansion, a manor, which is spectacular. And so they built the hotel off the manor. And you go in the manor, and it's like walking, my only realm of experience with this would be, it'd be like walking through a Newport mansion in Rhode Island. Exquisitely done. They have like side rooms, like a whiskey room, of course. They have a whiskey room that's kind of like a library. It's awesome. We did the interview with the general manager there. And then they have, I was in the show, you'll see like their biggest suite, which is like the Duke of somewhere, and he used to live there and had put a light in the window for his mistresses, and this whole long story about who stayed there. And the gardens are beautiful. The food was excellent. Their main dining room used to be an indoor tennis court, and it's beautiful. There's a bar in there, and it's like red leather. It's just really nice. And the most unique thing is the pro shop, and you'll see, we're going to post this as well. We did a little tour with Liam McCool, who's the director of golf and recreation. And he could be one of the nicest guys you could ever meet. And he was very courteous and generous doing airstrikes with Guinness throughout our round of golf. He'd have someone coming in and bringing in Guinness. So
you said the Guinness does in fact taste better.
It doesn't taste better. It does taste better, but he's very thoughtful in that, and we appreciated that. But the actual pro shop is the old stables of.
How much money did you spend in there?
No, I didn't. I did not. I have enough golf shirts and golf hats, so
I'm sure
I generally
you have a lifetime supply.
I generally avoid spending money in pro shops just because I have enough golf shirts.
Fair.
But this is pretty cool. I mean, it was, their offices. There were individual offices and former stables, and it's just this. It's phenomenal. The golf courses. The O'Meara course was a parkland golf course, so it's tree lined. And it's kind of like a standard golf course that you find in the States, which was a nice change-up. It was challenging, but it wasn't the most challenging golf course. And I feel like if you go play true links, and coming from the States where we generally don't play that game because links is more about creativity and ground game and keeping it low and putting from 35 feet off, which we don't really do in the States. The O'Meara course was much more like playing in the States. It was aim there, hit there. A lot of the approach shots were uphill, and then of course there were some downhill. The topography was very up and down. It was a great challenge. The greens were rolling fantastic. They had just opened. They just held the KPMG event, ladies event there, Pro Tour event, and that was 2 weeks prior, I believe. But then you go to the Colin Montgomerie course, which is an inland links course. So it's not on the water, but they consider it a links course. 131 bunkers. We played it probably from the wrong tees at 6,800 yards. And, everyone kind of always quipped or griped that Monty was kind of he was a hard character to really like. And he takes his aggression out. But I loved it. I would have played there every day, probably a little bit over the O'Meara course, just because of the challenge of it. And it was challenging. And when the wind kicked up, it was very challenging. So it was a good yin and yang, I would say, the O'Meara course, and then you jump onto the Montgomerie course. A lot of the members play the O'Meara course because I just don't think they don't want to get it's hard. Mm-hmm. The Montgomerie course is hard, but it's a nice change up for the property.
So 2 quick questions. First of all, how was the weather while you were there?
Mm-hmm. So the weather was unseasonably warm for September. It was like 70 and sunny. It was beautiful.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it was wonderful. Yeah.
And then when you finished with your round each day, what did you guys typically do after?
So
Besides
so we'd go and have a Guinness, right?
Guinness, yes.
And then we'd go have a Guinness, and then we'd just kind of hang out. And the thing about the Fairmont, there's a ton of places to hang out. They have like a lot of outdoor space, and they have these amazing gardens that border the mansion. It was like
I would have loved to see those.
I know. Well manicured. Now it's starting to work. I'm feeling a little bit guilty, but the well manicured greens, and they had outdoor spaces. But the quirky thing about Irish golf, which is kind of funny, at every water hazard in the country, they have to have a life preserver. It's a government mandated. So every water hazard, just in case you're going after that Shrixon or Titleist or Top Flight, in case you fall in, you will have a life preserver to throw to your playing partner just in case.
Wow.
There's a lot of oddities to golf. I'm going to post, they had this rake that I can't even describe.
You have to show the
I have to show it, so I will cover this right now.
Video footage or photo
They
footage.
had this weird rake that is actually pretty cool, and I wish they had them over here. They also, on a lot of the flags, they'll have markings up to see whether you're inside another's opponent, so who goes first. So it's kind of ingenious, right?
Yeah.
It's genius. It's just like, oh, let's put it, okay, well, I'm here, so you're away. Just kind of like weird, quirky things you don't see in the state. But the life preserver at every single hazard in the country it's funny. It's funny. So anyway.
Did you see anybody actually having to use one?
No, and I'm not a great swimmer, so I kind of felt a little reassured if I did hit it in a hazard because I'm not a great swimmer.
Yeah.
I failed swimming as a child. So, yeah. So it's a great, again, you're 30 minutes outside Dublin, but it's a great, Ireland is all, and I have not even seen the rest of the country.
Hold on. So you were 30 minutes outside of Dublin, but I know you guys did your tour of Ireland and played at several courses.
Yep.
Did you have a rental car?
No. So we kind of like bum rides. Like we got a ride from Port Monarch from a member's friend. He's like, oh, I'm going that way. The Irish people are everything you'd expect them to be. And they were like, oh yeah, let's do it. And they were just, but other than that, you do Uber, in the euros, and you don't really know what you're paying. You're paying more than you think you are. But it's Ubering around. I didn't rent a car. You can rent a car, unlike in Bermuda where you cannot rent a car.
Right.
You
take those little Twizzies.
The Twizzies.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are fun. But that's a whole nother episode that'll be coming up that we'll have. And then you will be there,
I will be able to share my experience at that
as long as the passport situation clears up.
I've got to renew my passport.
Yep. So
that will be done.
Good planning. So
at least I noticed before I got to the airport.
That is true. Because as Dove Jones and our travel tips have mentioned, it's always good to check your passport and make sure that you have a 6 months added on from the expiration
some countries
date.
are.
Bermuda's one of them. You can't, 6 months. Spain is 3 months. But Bermuda is 6, so that's a good thing when traveling to check. And Dove Jones,
just in
our
case
travel,
I never leave.
Yeah, right. I know. Dove Jones, our travel expert. If you've seen any of her segments, which you can view here on our YouTube channel, she has a great perspective on how to travel, especially internationally. And maybe you should probably watch those. Get caught up to speed, Meredith. And we thank you for joining us.
Oh, well,
Meredith.
thank
I am
you.
taking over as host.
Thank you so much for sharing your fantastic experience about this amazing vacation that you took to Ireland, one of the many vacations you took this summer.
Yeah, and it's with the Bermuda.
You want to brag any longer?
And on the Bermuda show, we'll be able to just talk because you'll be there, and we'll
You'll
have
be playing golf.
shared
I'll be
experiences.
working.
You'll be working.
Crazy
Perfect.
how that works.
Perfect.
Thanks,
Well,
Steve.
thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.